We're going to be analyzing a video clip from the best Dutch Russian language comedian in the world. And also the worst, because as far as I know, I'm the only one. I like using my own comedy because I'm a non-native speaker, so my comedy the phrases that I use tend to be relatively simple, so not using complex grammar, and that's why it can be very valuable for you as a Russian learner. Let's get started.
Русский язык вообще-то просто ад для нас, иностранцев.
And it's a very simple phrase. It uses a subject, which then is compared to something else, and then for. Русский язык, the Russian language, просто ад, simply hell. And in Russian, you can omit the is, are, am forms. And this makes Russian easier to learn in some aspect, because there's some more, but I really like that in Russian, you can just say like Russian language, simply hell. And this is correct Russian. And then you say для нас, иностранцев. Для is a preposition that uses the genitive case. So you say для нас. For us, иностранцев. And иностранцы also gets turned into the genitive case, and you get иностранцев. Для нас, иностранцев.
А начинается так обманчиво просто.
I really like the word "a" here, because in Russian you've got you've got the word "и", which means end. Then you also got "но", which means but. So you use "и" if you want to say like a constructive new phrase. You use "но" if you want to go like but, like a contradiction. But "a" is like in between. It means end, but more in the way of but. So unless you have like a short contradiction. So here's like, Russian language is hell for us foreigners, and it's starting so deceitfully simple. Начинается is an imperfective verb, so it's starting. Так is one of my favorite words because you can just plug it in everywhere. Так means like so. Some cases it means yes, or like more like a parasite word. It's like let me have a think. Так обманчиво. So deceitfully. Просто. Simple.
АБВ.
ABV, like the first three letters of the alphabet. If you want to learn Russian with me, check out the link in the description.
Ничего, я справлюсь.
Ничего, я справлюсь. Here, ничего is another, ничего means nothing, like the literal translation is nothing, but you can also use it more as like, ничего, it's nothing. Like, you can play around. Someone asks you to do something, ничего. Like, it's all right. Ничего, я справлюсь. I'll manage.
А потом пипец сложно.
А потом пипец сложно. Again, we have this here. It's like saying, and later it's super difficult, but later it's super difficult. So you can kind of use both here. А потом пипец сложно. Потом is just later, and then сложно is difficult. And пипец, this is the interesting word here, because пипец is it's not a swearing word, but it's usually used instead of another swearing word, which I'm not going to say here because then YouTube is not going to recommend this video to anyone. But it's kind of like if you were to say in English, if you were to say it's effing difficult. I'm not a native English speaker, so I think it's like it's effing difficult. Everyone knows which words you want to say, but it's a little bit more polite. So these are 5 more difficult letters in the Russian alphabet, and especially the last one, is a letter that is sometimes still even mispronounced after 10 years of learning Russian. So if you start, sometimes people send me like a message like, oh, I started learning Russian like for 1 month, and I cannot pronounce some of the letters. I'm like, I'm learning for 10 years, and I still cannot pronounce some letters. So as long as people understand what you're saying, you're good.
Мы тут алфавит учим или камыши пародируем?
Мы тут алфавит учим или камыши пародируем? It's a very straightforward sentence, like мы тут алфавит учим. Are we learning the alphabet here? Или, or, it's like another connection word, or, или. Камыши пародируем. To parody камыши. Камыши is a joke is so bad. Is a plant that grows in Russia that when the wind blows through it goes like so the joke here is like the Russian alphabet sounds like the plant that is making sounds when the wind goes through. And this is something that all Russians know for some reason.
Иностранцы часто говорят, что русский алфавит невозможно выучить.
Иностранцы часто говорят, что русский алфавит невозможно выучить. Another pretty straightforward phrase. Иностранцы говорят, foreigners are saying, часто. Часто is another nice word. It just means frequently. It is. It's a great word to use because you can edit. Like, it's like this tiny little thing that adds a little bit of flavor. Instead of saying like, я хожу в супермаркет. You can say, я часто хожу в супермаркет. Часто. I like the way it sounds. Plus, whenever you're doing something, you can always add like, I'm often doing this. They often say that русский алфавит невозможно выучить. Again, we skip the is here. You can say Russian language, impossible to learn. Now, выучить is a perfective verb, is like to. So here we mean like to have learned the alphabet. It's difficult to fully learn it.
А я считаю, что в этом виноват твердый знак.
Я считаю, I count, I think, I believe, I consider, что в этом виноват твердый знак. And this is a great thing, like in this is guilty the hard sign. It's one of the letters. Like if you learn Russian, you know the hard sign. And what I like about this here is that with Russian in comedy it's very important that you put the key word at the end of the phrase so that like the punch, the surprise comes last. And Russian has a flexible word order, so you can pretty much do this. Like you can just take the sentence that you're writing and then put the keyword at the end. So here the keyword is like I'm creating this suspense here, like, and I think that here is guilty the hard sign. So yeah, with Russian it doesn't matter. If I would have said и твердый знак в этом виноват, this also would be completely fine in terms of grammatical things. It's just like Russian allows you to be so much more poetic, so much more, add something to it, that you can just randomly put words everywhere and it still makes sense. Now the downside, of course, is that in order to do this, you have to learn cases. And the good thing is that so far in this video, I haven't really touched on cases because I tend to, haven't really used them much here because it's very simple Russian. And all about the word order, because often people ask like, so how should I create the word order? Well, the honest answer is you can put it randomly everywhere, but this is often difficult for people. So then it's much easier just like if you just take the English word order, the way you say stuff in your mind, the way you say stuff like subject, verb, and the rest, it's also going to be fine. So just how you would say something in English is like almost always sounds fine in Russian as well. And then once you have that down, then you can start playing around with other word orders.
Вот, смотрите.
Вот is another one of these words you can just like add everywhere, and Russians tend to add it everywhere. I add it everywhere. It's like here, вот, смотрите, here, look, here, see, вот смотрите, вот смотрите.
Чтобы правильно сказать твердый знак.
Чтобы правильно сказать твердый знак, in order to correctly say твердый знак. Now, чтобы is an interesting word that sometimes has some confusion to it. Чтобы. It's often translated as to, but it has the meaning of in order to. So if in English, you're kind of like using to. It's like, I'm going there to see him. Like, я иду туда, чтобы его увидеть. In order to see him. So with чтобы you almost always also use the infinitive form. So чтобы сказать, in order to say the hard sign correctly. Правильно. Oh, правильно is also something like you can always like if someone says something, you say правильно, correct, правильно. Especially if you skip, like you said, don't say the V very if you don't emphasize it, правильно. It sounds like do that, it's fun.
Надо сначала знать букву «ы».
Надо сначала знать букву «ы». So it's like in order to say the hard sign correctly, надо сначала знать букву «ы». Надо знать, need to know. Сначала, firstly, букву «ы». And bukva is the nominative, but if you're using the accusative here, because you know the bukvu, you know the letter. So you say, надо знать букву «ы». You first need to know the letter «ы».
Но, чтобы в алфавите дойти до буквы
Но, чтобы в алфавите дойти до буквы «ы», Like, but чтобы in order to get to дойти, et means to go, and дойти is like to get to. Дойти до буквы и. До is a preposition that uses the genitive case. So here first we have like знать букву, но дойти до буквы. Буква turns into буквы.
Надо сначала знать твердый знак.
Надо сначала знать твердый знак. Again, it's like надо знать твердый знак сначала. First you need to know the hard sign.
Это пространственная петля.
Это пространственная петля. Пространственная петля. Yeah, this is a very bad joke, but people laugh about it. Пространственная петля is like time-space continuum. So it's like, first, you need to know this letter first in order to know this letter, and then, but this letter is being used in that letter. So it's like, you know, it's a mess, the Russian alphabet.
Даже Мэтью МакКонахи в фильме «Интерстеллар» не попадал в такую ситуацию.
Даже Мэтью МакКонахи в фильме «Интерстеллар» не попадал в такую ситуацию. Even Matthew McConaughey in the movie Interstellar не попадал в такую ситуацию. Не попадал is like he was not попасть в ситуацию is like to end up in a situation. So yeah, the Russian alphabet is more difficult to learn than everything that Matthew McConaughey in his movie Interstellar actually went through.
Русский язык вообще-то просто ад для нас, иностранцев. А начинается так обманчиво просто. АБВ. Ничего, я справлюсь. А потом пипец сложно. Х, ц, ч, ш, ш. Мы тут алфавит учим или камыши пародируем? Иностранцы часто говорят, что русский алфавит невозможно выучить. А я считаю, что в этом виноват твердый знак. Вот, смотрите, чтобы правильно сказать твердый знак, надо сначала знать букву «ы». Но, чтобы в алфавите дойти до буквы «ы», надо сначала знать твердый знак. Это пространственная петля. Даже Мэтью МакКонахи в фильме «Интерстеллар» не попадал в такую ситуацию. Да, спасибо.